So today we're going to start learning Target 6, which talks about graphing linear inequalities with the correct boundary line. That means it has to either be dotted or solid, and the correct shaded half plane. That means you know if you're supposed to shade above the line or below the line. Now to graph an inequality, you do it the same way that you would graph a normal equation, except if there is just a less than or greater than symbol, then that leads to a dotted line. Or if there is a less than or equal to, or a greater than or equal to, that leads to a solid line. So almost like when we graph them on number lines, and they either had an open circle or a closed circle, here, instead of the open circle, it's a dotted line. Instead of the closed circle, it's a solid line. Now, the second part, in addition to knowing if you're having a dotted or a solid line, is knowing if you're shading above or below the line. So if you think of your line as the roof of a house, so let's say we have this equation and then, or this grid, and then we're going to graph it, and it looks like that. That's our line that we graph. We'll say it's a solid line. Now, if you think of this line as the roof of a house, so like if you were to draw the rest of the house, it would kind of look like this, and like that, and like that, and like that, and there's like a door, and a window. So if you think of that line as the roof of your house, if your equation says greater than, so if you have this symbol right here, if it's eating the y, if y is greater than the rest of your equation, then that means you shade everything greater than your roof. Well, what's greater than your roof? The great outdoors. So you're going to shade outside your roof, all of this over here on this side. Now if you have y is less than your equation, remember that less than looks kind of like an L, okay? Y is less than, it's pointing at the y, the rest of your equation. Then that means you shade everything less than your roof. Well, what's less than your roof? Everything lower than your roof or inside your house. Okay, so you would shade all of this area here. So let's practice. The first thing we do is we just graph this like normal, except when we graph it, we're going to graph it with a dotted line because there's no line underneath there. So when I graph this, I'm going to start at my y-intercept because this is in slope-intercept form. I'm going to start at -4. My slope is 3 over 1. So from this point, I'll go up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, and so on. Now remember, I'm going to make my line a dotted line. Because there's no line underneath that inequality. So all the solutions are not going to be on this line. They're either going to be everything below the line or everything above the line. They're not going to include the line because it's not equal to the line. It's just everything less than or greater than. Now this is a less than symbol. It looks like an L. Y is less than. It's pointing to the y. Y is smaller. So if it's less than, if we think of this as the roof to a house, right? And we're going to shade everything less than our roof, that would be everything down on this side. Now let's try this one. So we dotted line because there's no line underneath. We shaded everything below our line or less than our line or inside our house if this is a roof because it was y is less than. Now let's try this one. We started at +2. From this point on the y-intercept or the y-axis, +2, our slope is 1 over 2. So we go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. Now this time, my line is going to be solid because there is a line underneath my inequality symbol. So I'll make a solid line. Now if I think of this as the roof to my house, so I have a very, flat roof here, okay? This is the roof to my house. And I'm going to shade everything either greater than my roof or less than my roof. This is a greater than symbol. Okay, it matches this one up here, greater than. That means that you should shade everything greater than your roof. That's like the great outdoors. So if I think of this as my roof, everything greater than my roof is outside my house. Now let's try this one. I start on the y-axis at a positive 1, because that's my y-intercept. My slope is negative 2 over 1, so I'm going to go down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. I'm going to make a dotted line because my solutions don't include the line. It's just everything greater than or less than it. Now y is greater than, so that means if I think of this as the roof to my house, then everything greater than my roof is everything outside of it. So if here's my roof, it's everything outside. Greater than is the great outdoors. Over here, I start at negative 3. My slope is a negative 1 over 4, so I'm going to go down 1 over 4, down 1 over 4. It's going to be a solid line because there is a line underneath my symbol. It's less than or equal to. So I want my solutions to include the line, be equal to the line. And now it's y is less than. So if I think of this as the roof to my house, it's a pretty flat roof again. Everything less than my roof is everything inside my house. Okay, everything down here. So less than is like that. Now, each of these shaded parts, and in this one also including the line, represent all the ordered pairs that would make this inequality true. Let's say we look at this one. So like if I pick this point right here at, say, 3, 8, if I were to put a 3 in for x and an 8 in for y, it would make that inequality true. So 8 is greater than or equal to 1/2 times 3 is 1.5 plus 2. So this side equals 3.5, this side equals 8. 8 really is greater than or equal to 3.5. If I pick any point in the shaded area, it will make that inequality true. If I pick any point in the not shaded area, it will not make that inequality true. Okay? If I pick a point down here, it will give me something that makes this false. When it says this is greater than or equal to that, that won't actually be the case. It will actually be less than or equal to the other side. Okay? So that is learning target 6, graphing inequalities.